Welcome to the Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast, episode number 194. Hi, I'm Chris. Thank you for joining us today.
And I'm Jill. Welcome back, everyone. Chris and I are officially returning from our midwinter break. It feels good to be back at the mic. How does it feel to be back to podcasting, Chris?
Well, it feels great, honestly. Although I have to say, I wasn't exactly relaxing the whole time. I was very busy during our break doing a massive update to the Becoming Ellie website.
Yes, you did an amazing job there.
Well, it's a work in progress, too. So,
Speaking of updates, we have a big one regarding how we stay in touch with our listeners, and that's that we're moving our newsletter over to Substack. If you go to our website, you can sign up for Substack, but I just want to make sure you know, just pick the free option because we're not charging for any of this. And they ask about money, and we haven't figured out how to make that disappear. So I just want to make sure you know, just go with the free option.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Of course, they default to making you pay. And at first, I didn't even see there was a free option. So it's the bottom one, the bottom radio dial there when you sign up. And it's going to make it so much easier to use Substack to share our episodes and articles and updates. It's a whole different platform that I haven't used much before. So if you haven't signed up yet, or you did sign up before and then you decided you didn't want to, you may want to resubscribe, but head over to the website.
And before you go any further, Chris, I have a question about that. If you are already subscribed to the Becoming Ellie newsletter, are you still subscribed in Substack, or do I have to go and do it again?
No, I believe you're still subscribed so that it will go to your email. But a lot of people belong to Substack, like you might belong to Instagram or Facebook, and they read their Substacks on Substack.
Right.
So that's a little different too. So if you have been receiving the newsletter, you should receive a newsletter. But you know how emails are.
Yeah.
If you don't get one, check your spam folder and then add it to your white label or white list or whatever. We did make a change. So, and I don't know until we do it for a while how it's going to work.
Okay. And I guess if you have problems, let us know and we'll figure it out.
We'll try to do something else. And since we have some new listeners joining us for the new year, Jill, maybe we should reintroduce who exactly Ellie is.
Oh, yes. Good idea. So Chris and I are the founders of the Becoming Ellie community, and we decided to name our community Becoming Ellie because Ellie was the Norse goddess of aging who actually beat Thor in a wrestling match.
Yes, and Jill and I thought, hey, that's the goal. We want to be like Ellie, fit, strong, and confident as we age.
Yes. You can find out more about the community, see the new website design, which I have to say Chris has done a fantastic job on, and sign up for that Substack newsletter at becomingellie.com. And Ellie is spelled E-L-L-I.
So let's dive in because It is February, and February is American Heart Month. So today we decided to talk about that engine that keeps us going.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Today's theme is heart health after 50. Strong hearts, strong women.
Jill, I think for a lot of women, heart health sounds a little bit medical or scary, but we really want to change that conversation today.
Absolutely. So not to say that we're not talking about medicine, but heart disease is the number one cause of death for women. Yet it's surprisingly underdiscussed in our demographic. The reality is our risk increases after menopause because we lose that protective effect of estrogen.
Yeah. But here's the message that we want to drive home today. Caring for your heart isn't about fear, it's about self-respect. So many women prioritize everyone ahead of themselves, their partners, their kids, their grandkids, or aging parents before their own health and kind of put themselves last, which is a problem.
Yeah, well, many of us do that.
Right.
This episode is about reframing heart care as self-care. You are not fragile, you are powerful, and your heart deserves the support to keep you that way.
Yes. So let's start out with nutrition. And I want to be clear, we're talking about adding, not restricting.
Oh, I love that. So often heart healthy diets feel like a list of don'ts. So I like to talk about the do's.
Yes. Yeah. Do's like DOS, not DUES.
Do be a do be, don't
Yeah.
be a don't be.
I think that's a Cleveland thing with
Oh,
romper room. Romper, stomper, domper, do.
I think that wasn't just Cleveland because I didn't grow up in Cleveland.
Oh, yes, right. You were from Pittsburgh. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm off track.
Okay.
Heart health is really about those Mediterranean staples, leafy greens like spinach and kale to support blood vessels, and fatty fish like salmon and sardines. Those omega 3s are huge for reducing inflammation. Two big, wonderful things. I love both spinach, kale, and salmon and sardines. I don't know if I always did, but trying to be more Mediterranean, it really grows on you and it tastes so good.
Yeah, I eat salmon. Sardines, I struggle with still at times.
Oh, really? I love sardines.
I eat them, but they are not top of the list for me.
They're not your go-to? Yeah.
But I think you're right. As you become used to eating certain things,
Yep.
they become more appealing to you.
Yeah.
So don't forget fiber. Beans, lentils, they're incredible for managing your cholesterol and also your gut health. And berries, they're like little antioxidant bodyguards for your arteries.
And what about fats? I mean, I think we're finally past that era of fighting and fearing fat, right?
Yeah, I don't think we have to eat those Hartwells or Earth, whatever they were called, the cookies that were fat free.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Right, right. Well, I think saturated fat is still not where we wanna be, but healthy fats.
Yeah, saturated fat is one of those things apparently that I mean, that's now in the new food plan. But at any rate, nuts,
Like
seeds,
right.
walnuts, chia seeds, olive oil, those are and avocados.
Yeah.
Those are healthy fats that your heart actually needs.
Yes, yes.
So you want to make sure you do have some fat in your diet.
Well, and one thing about fat, it really helps your brain. Your brain needs the fat in order to function well. I mean, I know that that's part of it.
Yes, and we're talking about heart health, but they say anything you do for your heart is also what you need to do for your brain. So
Yeah.
if you're taking care of your heart because it's February, it will also help take care of your brain.
Right.
Which I don't know
right.
what month is for brain health, but
Well, we'll figure it out.
yeah.
The things that we do need to be mindful of, ultra-processed foods, added sugars, and highly refined carbs. And also there's something called alcohol creep. I'm not quite sure what that means. Creepy alcohol? I don't get that.
Creepy. No, it's alcohol creep. It happens when a glass of wine becomes two,
Oh, yeah.
or where you maybe have a drink once or twice a week and it becomes 3 or 4 times a week, that kind
Like
of
your
thing.
tolerance.
It just creeps into your habits.
Right. And then drinking a glass of alcohol, it kind of lowers your inhibitions. "Oh, I'll have 2." Is that what you
Yeah,
like, kind of
yes.
like that?
And
Yeah.
yes, or just, yeah. And so you can have, well, I'm not going to say you can or can't have alcohol, but if you do drink alcohol, be aware that heart healthy eating doesn't include a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And heart healthy eating isn't about perfection though. It's about patterns. It's about,
Habits,
yeah.
the routines, that's what really makes it, right? It's like working out and everything else.
Yeah. So, while we're talking too about the fiber and all that, I was just
Yeah.
reading that they're seeing an increase in cancers, like intestinal cancer
Yeah.
for younger people because people are following basically diets that are low in fiber.
Right. Well, that SAD diet, standard American diet, is full of highly processed foods because it's so easy and convenient to just get the stuff out of a box, heat it up, and there you go. Or so many restaurants are not, I don't know, fast food particularly.
Yeah.
It's just you really have to watch that, there's not all these additives, right? The other thing, I guess, moving on to something we like to call the numbers game. Let's talk about the doctor's office, the numbers game, cholesterol and blood pressure.
Yeah. I hear from many women who feel discouraged by their lab results. They feel like they failed a test. And I kind of know that feeling.
Well, the whole numbers like watching the scale. You can get really hung up over a few pounds and, we're a lot more than a number. We got to remember that. It's also good to remember that cholesterol isn't the whole story. I mean, there's good cholesterol too. You need cholesterol in your body. It's just, the other thing is inflammation matters. Muscle mass matters. And although blood pressure is a big one, it responds powerfully to movement, stress management, and sleep. And water. Drinking a lot of water is very helpful.
Oh, yeah. Making sure you're hydrated. Yeah.
I mean, it seems so simple, but
You can use those numbers as information. They don't define you. You don't walk around with a giant sign that says, I have high cholesterol and high blood pressure.
yeah. And I want to do a really important disclaimer here. Lifestyle is powerful, but if your doctor recommends medication for your high blood pressure or cholesterol, it's okay to take it. Treat the condition while you make the lifestyle changes because it doesn't have to be one or the other. And sometimes when people make a lot of lifestyle changes, they find they can go off the medication because their numbers have changed. So it's all good.
But especially, I think, well, I don't want to say especially, but the high blood pressure is
Right.
something you want to be
Very mindful.
mindful of. You want to take care of that. So
Right.
if you need medication for it, take it and
Yes.
then work on the things that you can do to either reduce or go off of that medication. And if you can't, you can't, but you can still improve your health.
Right.
Let's talk about what we can control, which is exercise.
Yeah. Exercise used to seem like a bad word, but I like it now.
It was for me, that's for sure.
And this is our most powerful tool in our toolbox. Today, I wanted to go a little deeper about something that's been buzzing around in the fitness world, and that's called Zone 2 training.
Yeah, I keep hearing about it.
Yeah.
You want to tell us exactly what Zone 2 training is?
Yeah. I mean, some of our listeners know already what it is and probably could tell us a lot more about it. But for those who don't know what Zone 2 training is, the different exercise zones describe how hard your heart is working when you're exercising. And there's usually 5 zones. Zone 1 is very easy, like a warm up, like walking along, strolling, I would say.
I feel like Zone 1 is what your heart rate is when you're really just hanging around your house and not
Yeah.
doing much.
Yeah, or like window shopping, stop looking,
Yeah.
or like when I'm walking the dog and she insists on sniffing at every
When you're taking
single
a sniff
bush.
walk,
Yes, a sniff walk.
a sniff walk, yes.
Yeah, I never get out of zone 1 when I'm
Right.
doing that. But zone 5 is maximum effort. It's when you're gasping for air and you're like, oh my God. So
Yeah, you don't stay too long in Zone 5.
no, that's at the crest of the hill where you just got to get over it.
Yeah.
But zone 2 is what's called the sweet spot.
Okay, meaning it's comfortable?
Yes, and I like to think of it as zone 2 is the I can go all day at this. It's comfortable but intentional. It's the pace where you can talk but you couldn't sing a song. And if you're gasping, you're going too hard. You're in 4 or 5. But if you're bored and you could sing an opera, it's probably zone 1 and you're not working hard enough. Zone 2 is where you want to be for the moderate workouts where, it feels good.
So why is Zone 2 so important?
Well, zone 2 strengthens the heart muscle itself and improves something called mitochondria, your cellular energy factors. It helps regulate the blood sugar and cholesterol. But here's the key. It doesn't spike your cortisol the way the high intensity workouts do.
That's huge. So it builds a heart that lasts, not just one that survives the workout. How do we know if we're in Zone 2?
Well, the easiest way is the talk test. Can you speak in full sentences? Could you carry on a conversation? If yes, you're likely in zone 2.
I think I often creep out of zone 2 into zone 3, maybe even 4 occasionally, but I think we forget about that. Zone 2 isn't necessarily hard. You're right. It's something you could do for a long period of time.
Right, right. I talked a little bit last year about starting line dancing, and line dancing in between the songs, you're just kind of sitting there, you're standing there waiting for the next song to start. That's definitely zone 1. I'm just kind of
You just
wandering
stand
around.
there, yeah.
Stand there kind
Heart rate slowing down.
of heart rate slowing down. But zone 2 is when you're dancing, which is just, it's fun. I mean, sometimes
So
I get into 3 depending on how fast the dance is, but
okay.
yeah.
If you wanna do something more data-like than the talk test, is there a
Okay.
formula that you can use to figure out where you should be?
Yeah, and I would say it's a rough starting point because everyone's a little different. But if you start with the number 220 and then you subtract your age. So zone 2 is roughly 60 to 70% of that number. So let's say you're 55. That's roughly a heart rate of 100 to 115 beats per minute. So, of course, meds and menopause can change your heart rate, and probably so can a lot of other things. But the talk test is most often accurate and easy.
Yeah, and I guess if you want to go online and do more research on that, I just read somewhere about 2 other ways of testing of your coming up with a heart rate number,
Okay.
and I can't tell you it was like a YouTube video that some
Yeah.
guy was going on about.
Well, and I know my zones definitely change as I get more fit
Yes.
or less fit. If
Yes.
I've been sick for a while and kind of stopped doing my workouts, I can tell I'm not where I was cardio wise,
Yes.
and I think the zones have changed.
And your heart rate numbers do change as you get older,
Yes,
but being fit does affect your heart rate.
definitely. As it should.
Yes. Yeah, that's the whole point, right? That's what we're talking about.
You get a slower resting heart rate when you exercise a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, my boyfriend, got woken up by his Garmin
Why?
because it said his heart rate was too low, but he's been doing a lot of cardio training.
Yep.
And so
So they thought it was going into bradycardia, like his
yeah, he
heart's
was like,
not working.
wake up, your heart rate's too low. It's like, oh, now
Well,
I am.
I know that is something with athletes, and he does work out a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's very fit.
yes, I'm not laughing at it, but it is sort of funny that it
His
disrupts this.
watch woke him up.
You're supposed to
Hey,
get
are you okay?
What kind of let's get back to zone 2 here. What kind of activities count for zone 2 training? What are good things to do besides line dancing?
Well, they say, yeah, brisk walking, where you're really moving along, you're not strolling. Hiking, although I have to say when I do hiking, it's usually in the Cuyahoga Valley and I'm going up these giant hills and I'm definitely not in zone 2, because if there's really big hills, it changes. But easy cycling, and I would say yes, definitely easy cycling. Rowing, I don't know about rowing. I
Rowing?
haven't done enough rowing. I would say rowing gets me a lot higher.
So I guess rowing, if you were doing easy rowing, but
If you're on the lake just kind of paddling along?
yeah,
You mean
but I
like
was thinking
kayaking?
on a rowing machine.
Rowing machine, I'd be high. I know
I
I
would be
would.
too, but you'd have to really slow yourself down.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do a
yeah.
long, instead of I tend to do short bouts of rowing at
Mhm.
sort of
High
high
intensity.
intensity.
Yeah,
But I
that's
guess
how
if
I
you
do too.
slowed it way down and said, I'm going to do a
Yep.
long rowing session.
Yeah. Well, remember a long time ago, we did
Oh, elliptical.
the elliptical, and I can go in zone 2 for a long time on the elliptical, but then it's fun to go up high for a little while, just a short, to end it. I just like to do it like that, and get a little bit of the high intensity workout. I definitely can stay in zone 2 for a long time on the elliptical.
Zone 2 is something that you do several times a week, I would guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they say about 2 to 4 hours a week, but, like, what's the thing, 150 hours or minutes of exercise a week? I usually blow past that just because that seems low to me, but, I think that it works out if you do a lot of zone 2, that's the moderate low end moderate exercise.
Okay, so that's the cardio engine part of this, but we have to talk about the other half of the equation, which is strength training.
Right, right. And that's so, so important. I wanted to expand on this because there is a myth that cardio is for the heart and weights are just for looking toned. But that is really false. Your heart loves movement, but it loves muscle even more.
And your heart is a muscle.
That's right. Probably the most important muscle.
So, why is lifting specifically good for the heart?
Well, for a few reasons. First of all, muscle is metabolic tissue. The more muscle you have, the better your body handles blood sugar and insulin. And strength training lowers your resting blood pressure over time, which is
Oh,
very
okay.
important. Yeah.
All right. So research backs that up. The Journal of the American Heart Association noted that strength training is associated with lower risk of cardiovascular disease, even if you don't do cardio, though obviously we recommend doing both.
Right. Right.
The other thing I'll say is that oftentimes when you're doing strength training,
Yeah.
depending on what you're doing, you
Mhm.
get a cardio workout in there oftentimes. Like I was at the gym this morning and I was doing squats and, I hate
Mhm.
squats, but I was
But they're
doing
so
squats.
good.
I was
So
doing
good.
some deadlifting, which was much
Mhm.
better. But anyway, I was doing a little circuit of things and my heart rate went up. I was definitely getting a cardio workout, even though
Oh,
I
yeah.
was supposedly doing strength training.
Yeah. Well, when I do my strength training workout, the one that I posted in the articles for this summer and fall, I definitely hit all 5 stages or all 5 zones with my workouts. And usually, what I do is do the weights, and then I let my heart come back down into zone 1 or 2. I guess it's 2. I get it down to 2 before I attack it all again. I think it's good to do the cycling.
Yeah.
It's good for me because I need a break. I need a break.
But I'm just pointing out that, you
Yeah,
do get
you get cardio when you're
yes,
doing
but
weights,
so
for
strength
sure.
training is really good for your heart, and if you're not doing a lot of cardio, you're probably getting some at least through the strength training.
Right, right, and they say aim for 2 to 3 times a week, lift heavy enough to feel challenged. Strength training isn't about bodybuilding, it's about building capacity for life, and strong muscles built will support a strong heart.
I think that's great advice, thank you. Before we wrap up, we have to mention a couple of invisible heart helpers or whatever, stress and sleep.
Stress, is that a helper? I guess so. I don't know. Chronic stress
No,
is
I don't know why we're
chronic.
calling it an invisible heart helper, but we have to talk about 2 things. Let's just say we're gonna have to talk about 2 things, stress and sleep.
Yeah, okay. Chronic stress equals chronic inflammation. And as women, we carry a lot of emotional labor. We need to shift our mindset from punishment to nourishment. A calm nervous system is heart medicine. And I guess, calming with meditation, with deep breathing exercises, that type of thing.
Yeah. And sleep. Poor sleep raises heart disease risk, so it's not about being lazy. Recovery is cardiac support. Try to get that morning light exposure and a consistent bedtime.
So let's summarize the best practices for a strong heart after 50. Eat protein, fiber, and colorful vegetables. Lift weights 2 to 3 times a week. Get that zone 2 walking in and manage your stress.
That's great advice. Remember, heart health isn't about fear, it's about freedom. Strong hearts support travel, adventure, and independence.
Yeah, we don't just chase longevity just to exist longer. We want to build the capacity for life to, improve the health span of your life.
We challenge you to add one heart healthy habit this week. Maybe it's a 20-minute zone 2 walk or adding flax seeds to your yogurt.
I made a face.
You're not going to do the flax seeds, I take it, Chris? Chris
I'm not
just
doing the flax
made a
seeds.
face.
I stuck my tongue out. I'm sorry for those of you that love flax seeds, but I'm not adding flax seeds.
How about chia
Anyway,
seeds?
yes, I love chia seeds. Okay, chia seeds. Thanks for listening to episode 194. And don't forget to check out the new website and the Substack at becomingellie.com.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, you will also like the Older Women and Friends podcast, where Jane Leader talks with guests about the joys and challenges of being an older woman. You can find it at her website, www.janeleader.net. Leader is spelled Leder. It was great talking with you today, Chris. I look forward to the next episode of Fit Strong Women Over 50.
Thanks, Jill. Bye-bye.
Bye.